Haiti for the last week, and if you don't know where Haiti is, go to Florida and turn right, jump Cuba, and you'll land on the island of Santiago, and Haiti is on about the western one-third of Haiti. The Dominican Republic inhabits about the eastern two-thirds of that nation. And it's an interesting place. There's approximately 12 million people in all of the country of Haiti, and half of those live in Port-au-Prince, where we were at. 6 million people in Haiti. So to compare that, if you would take the population of DFW and double it and put it in about a fourth of the space that DFW encompasses, you'd have Port-au-Prince. I tell you, I've been to Nigeria in 2002, and that was an eye-opener. I went to Brazil in October of last year. Brazil's pretty modern. They live pretty much like we do. Went to Guatemala in June, and they're an impoverished nation, but I've never seen poverty displayed as I've seen it in Haiti. There are middle-class people, and there's a few wealthy people, but for the bulk of the nation and the people, it's in abject poverty. Their economy depends on nonprofit organizations and churches from America to feed their people. Their economy depends on it. And we've seen what we did actually is kind of we went to help this group called I'm Me, I''M''E, and you can go to their webpage, and this organization was started by a couple of professional football players, and they have a guy down there that runs it for them, and they're in and out several times a year as well. And they have an orphanage, and they have about 12 children that they have taken in and take care of at a separate location. But about 2 to 3 times a month, they showcase groups, or host groups rather, like ours, and they give them a dose of Haiti. We got there on Saturday, and Saturday afternoon, we just kind of chilled out that day and kind of got to know each other, because there was another half a dozen people or so from all over the United States. There was some from Houston, some from Dallas, some from Minnesota, some from Washington, some from California. And then you have the guest house host and all the staff of I'm Me. So there was probably about 20 of us all together that would travel. And so Sunday we went to the Haitian church and got to experience the praise and worship and a message. They had an American American missionary that was preaching that day, and so we got to visit with the people and experience that. Monday, and we're fixing to show you some pictures. Monday, all these days kind of run together. I'm trying to figure out what did we do Monday. Was that Mountain Day? Is what?
Tuesday was Community Day. Monday was Mountain Day.
Monday.
Right? Sunday was church and then Sunday. Yeah, Monday was Mountain Day. Oh, Sunday Soleil was Sunday afternoon. So we went to City Soleil Sunday afternoon. Sunday afternoon after church we ate, we rested a little bit, and then they took us on a tour of Port-au-Prince and part of it. And there's a place in Port-au-Prince called City Soleil, and it is the largest slum in the Western Hemisphere, and some of them said the world. But for sure it is in the Western Hemisphere. It's the largest slum. There's 500,000 people in Port-au-Prince living in City Soleil, and I mean it is the poorest of the poor. In 2014, the United Nations declared this City Soleil in Port-au-Prince
The UN declared it the most dangerous place on the planet. I didn't find that out until I got home. So they took us on a tour, and Port-au-Prince is, you've got to understand, I mean, there's beautiful houses and concrete structures, and every house has a concrete wall around it about 10 foot tall with razor wire and gates, and every house has that. Every house. That's just part of your dwelling if you have a wall with razor wire around it, and most of the houses have guards with them in the middle class communities where we were staying. So that afternoon we went to Cité Soleil, which is down right on the coastline, and the closer you get to this place, the more horrid the smell. Sewage in the streets. There's very little sanitation department. They said there's like 10 garbage trucks for all of Port-au-Prince of 6 million people. 10. So people just take their trash, it's just thrown in the streets. There's trash everywhere. Even in the middle class community, there's trash everywhere. Plastic bottles, styrofoam, everywhere. And most of it will wind up in Cité Soleil, I guess, through the rivers and the drainage and everything. And you get down there's drainage canals that, come out of the city that are, I'm talking 100 foot wide, 10 foot deep, solid plastic, styrofoam. And you have people rummaging through that, and pigs just kind of eating through that. And they just took us through the edge of Cité Soleil, and it was just the most... we'll have some pictures. And I'm telling you this so I can point it out in the picture, not have to explain it. But most of the structures there are just tin sheds and families living in it. There's very few schools. The police will not even enter Cité Soleil. It's so dangerous. It's run by gangs. They pretty much rule inside. They will let a few people go in to help feed, but for the most part, it's just, you have pigs running around, people feeding pigs, and I mean, they're in and out. It's just, words do not even come close to describe the poverty that these people are living in. 500,000 people inside. And if you're born in there, the chances of getting out are very, very slim. The average lifespan in Haiti is 55 years old. You hardly ever see any old people. When I say old, I'm talking 60 and up. There's a few, but for the most part, you just don't see them. You don't see them out and about. So we did that Tuesday, and every night we would get on the roof. Is a flat concrete roof, this 3-story structure, and everyone would talk about what they seen, how it made them feel, what could be done about it, and just kind of decompressed, for the day, because you run through a range of emotions in Haiti that just everything from joy to anger and everything in between. So we'd talk, we'd sing some praise and worships, and before we went to bed at night, and just kind of decompress, and I just never could the whole trip get that vision out of my mind of Cité Soleil. It was different things for different people, but for me, it's Cité Soleil, just the way people live and have. I was talking with a guy in the airport, and another missionary, and he said they was with a group that went in to actually build a structure in Cité Soleil, and because there's so much trash, and it's actually built on a trash heap dump over, I'm talking centuries. So they was going to drill some piers and stuff, and they got the drilling rig set up, and they drilled down 20 feet, and they still hadn't got through the trash. They drilled down 40 feet, and they still hadn't got through the trash. They drilled down 60 feet before they reached dirt. You're talking just decades and centuries of trash that people have lived on, and it's just risen up. I think we've got a couple of pictures I'll show you. We need smell-o-vision to really to really appreciate this. I mean, you literally had to hold your nose while driving through this. Tuesday was a better day. They took us up about an hour and a half ride up into the mountains because Haiti is very mountainous. In about an hour and a half drive, you can go from sea level to about 6,000 feet. Most beautiful country. You'll have pine trees along with banana trees growing right side by side. Guatemala was like that. It's a unique picture, but clouds were just, descending on the mountain, and it's about 75 degrees up there as opposed to 95 degrees in town during the day. And so we went up on a tall mountain and we hiked, took our lunch with us and hiked down to a place, and they had some praise and worship music. We just kind of chilled out on top of this mountain, and you'd see these farmers farming on the side of these mountains. They're farming all manner of vegetables and coffee beans and plantain and broccoli and peas and all of this, and they're farming, with hoes, and they've got them a cow of some sort, usually tied to a tree and some goats and stuff running around. But for the most part, you can see across the valley, and you'd see a little one-room structure on the side of that mountain, and that's where a family lived, and they farmed a little stretch of ground on the side of that mountain. And that is at probably maybe less than a 45-degree angle. It's pretty steep, and very happy people. I mean, the living conditions up on the mountain were tremendously better. And while we was there, there's a lady that our host has befriended over the last year or so, and she lives in there's two little huts and stuff, so we hiked down and went into there, and there was an old woman. I mean, she was probably 80 years old, which was rare. And they collect all their own rainwater to drink and everything, and she made us coffee that she had picked. And they mix their coffee with pure sugar from sugar cane, and they brew the coffee with the sugar. Now, I don't like sweet coffee, but this was pretty good. And we've got probably some pictures. She had all this sugar in a bag, or coffee and sugar in a bag, and she would take hot water, and pour it in the bag and actually strain it out into a deal and served it to us in tin cups, and it's strong. On top of the sugar, it'll wire you, and it had an effect on me, I tell you. So we played around there, and we chopped the old woman some firewood while we was there, and just had a great time. And then we had to hike out of that place uphill. And that was a challenge. I tried to remove that mountain with the word, be removed, but my faith was weak, and I had to crawl out. And so we got back that evening and decompressed, and that was Tuesday. Wednesday, we went to a village on the outskirts of Port-au-Prince, and it has a name, but it's about an hour and a half drive. You go through Port-au-Prince and kind of over a little mountain range to where you're on the desert side of the mountains, and you get into the farming region, and sugar cane fields growing, and so they took us inside this place that he's been going to for about a year. And he has befriended the pastor, and these people are living, I guess, pretty much like they did 200 years ago. There's no electricity and no running water even available to these people. So they're living in mud huts. They make about a 10 by 10 structure out of sticks and weave sticks in it, pack it full of mud. And if they have paint or can get paint, they'll paint it, and then it has a sugar cane thatch roof. And there'll be 6 or 7 or 10 people that will sleep and live in there. They do all their cooking outside in a shed that will have just an open fire. And there's a church there that is just a tin structure about the size of this sanctuary, and it's got tin roof and hobbled together tin sides. And I got to meet the pastor and visit with him via interpreter. And when you're driving up there, all these little kids are just running after the trucks that we're riding in, and they're so glad to see somebody. Very little education do these people receive, and I mean very little. Some of the youngest ones, I mean like 3 and 4 years old down, they may just be wearing a shirt or nothing at all. So if you see some pictures, there might be a picture or two from that. Don't be offended. That's just the way, the little kids, they're just, all of them basically barefooted. The older women taking care of them, and they herd the men. You see some men herding sheep around, and they're feeding on the scrub brush around there and trying to etch out a living. But they said the children there receive an average of 3 meals a week. And 3 meals a week. They don't look, like the commercials on TV, where they're just, you look at them and think they were, fed fairly decent, because I mean these kids are just jumping and laughing and having a big time, and they played soccer with them a little bit, and we played with them. And while they was doing that, the pastor and I, with an interpreter, went and prayed for an old woman, and asked him if there was anybody in the village that needed prayer. And he said, we have an old woman. And so we went through the door, which was a curtain hanging over the opening in this mud hut, and in the floor, laying on a pallet, was about I asked how old she was, and that one, they didn't know how old she was, but he assumed she was about 89 or 90. And she's laying there on the floor, unable, her legs have so deteriorated that she's unable to walk, just lays there, and mostly blind, very gray-headed, but she is very grateful. The pastor told her that there was another pastor from America come there to pray for her, and she was so happy. And asked if I could lay my hand on her head, and she graciously allowed me to lay my hands on her head, and I prayed for her, and she was so elated that she felt like God hadn't forgot her, and she was so elated that someone would come and pray with her. So we went back to the village that day, and we give some things to the kids, and some a little bit of foodstuffs that we had, and give each one of them some of that and some water, and they were very, very blessed or seemed to be very glad to receive that. Anything you do in Haiti is like spitting on a forest fire to put it out. Anything. I mean, the best of efforts is like spitting on a forest fire. It's just that big. The first day after going there, and I mean, this is a tiny island, but the poverty is so bad and the problems are so bad, the thought come through my mind, this is too big for God. And I mean, that was my human mind coming out. I don't know that God can fix this. Of course He can, and that's the only way it can be fixed. But the government is so corrupt, and the police force is so corrupt, and it's just been, generation after generation of corrupting. The people have been forgotten, and it's just a whole. I'm going to ask the team to go ahead and come on up. Abby and Kelly and Alexa and Teresa and Haley, anytime, y'all come right on up.
The team thinks you're doing a great job.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, we have gotten to know each other very well over the last week. Y'all, is that the first picture you've shown?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. I'll tell you, while they're up here, let's just spend about three or 4 seconds on each picture. And if there you go. Can everybody halfway see?
I'll just send you that. Okay, yeah, let's find each other.
About 6 years old now. He lives there at the guest house, and he's everybody's favorite. I think it's amazing the love that little boy gives out. I mean, it is amazing. You can go ahead and continue. There'll be some other things. This is the third service that we attended Sunday morning. They speak French, Creole French. The Haitian people are descendants of the slaves that the French had when the French ruled the island a couple hundred years ago. And then there was a revolt by the slaves, and they gained their independence, and the Haitian people are now in control of Haiti. So they're French-speaking people. You go up to them, bonsoir, bonjour, and speak French. You see the walls, this is walls around the houses, and you'll notice the wire on top of the walls and stuff. There's the countryside, kind of Haiti, a lot of dirt streets, some of the little shanty shacks around. All right, stop right there. This is City Soleil right here. You'll notice the pigs. That's not dirt. That's all trash that they're on. And this is just in the edge of Haiti. We're just getting there, and this is just raw sewage and water going down that, and there's pigs. And if you could look a little closer, you'd see some children and stuff on the, milling around, searching for something to use. This is the City Soleil. You notice the architecture. That's on the main road going through it. There's piles of garbage with pigs going through it. And it's mostly tin structures, no concrete, very little concrete there. And you'll notice people are living here. Those are houses. Those aren't barns. 500,000 people live just like this. That's City Soleil. That's a raw sewage canal. The smell there was horrendous. That's Banner, some of the ones holding him at the guest house where we stayed. And Kyle McGrath is the one in charge of the guest house, and I'm the organization. Now this is, hold it right there, this is the mountain day that we went, and I mean it's lush. I mean it's cool and lush, and if I lived there I'd be heading to the mountains. I mean I'd pack up what I had and head there. And you can see a guy farming there. They just have a hoe, and they contour the side of those mountains, and that's a pretty steep grade. You can go ahead and continue. That's on the mountain. You see the clouds. Some of the mountain tops you couldn't see because of the clouds. This is while we're That's Kyle. That's the guy on the right. The girl on the left is Katie. Sadie, which is Rachel Rogers, former elector church system. Here we are, just kind of chilling out on the mountaintop and observing and beautiful place. Beautiful place. You can see there's just the shacks and the people farming along the edges. All right, stop right there. This is Colin McGrett, who's in charge of IME. A very interesting fellow, about 28 years old. They'll probably show a face shot of him. He played football for USC and then had a short stint with the Chicago Bears. And then he went to work in New York City for Blackstone Finance. And it was a corporate finance group. And he said he went on a trip to Haiti, come back, and he was working on a $100 million deal for that finance group. And he told himself that if he didn't do what he wanted to do now, it would never get done. So he walked out on a $100 million deal, moved to Haiti. He's not married, and it helps these. There's two other pro football players that started behind the organization, and he's running it for them now. Loves God, loves the Haitian people. I don't know that he'll ever come home. There's Haley praising the Lord on the mountaintop. There's Teresa, Alexa, and myself. That's just a concrete wall that goes down the street. Now they had a devastating. All right, I'm going. This is they had a devastating hurricane back in November last year. Remember, Haley was supposed to go back. It was November, October, and she couldn't because of the hurricane coming in. And so there was a lot of devastation. You know, you can't tell it. I mean, I can't tell the difference in devastation in normal life. But in 2010, you'll remember there's an 8-point earthquake that went in and just leveled a lot of that city. And they're still not fully recovered from that. So, all right, here we are down to the lady that made the coffee for us, and we had drank some coffee. You can continue. That's your pastor, chopping wood. This woman was probably 80, you reckon? Probably 80 years old. This actually has a handmade handle. No doubt she probably made it and fitted it in that bag. She's making the coffee here. She has the coffee and sugar mixed together in this bag. And she's boiling water and she's pouring the boiled water through the there's a bag into another pot. And that's Kyle in the green hat. Helping her.
Smells so good.
It is very strong coffee, very strong. All right, stop the tape. Pause just for a second. Now, all right, that's all right there, dancing with one of the ladies. You can show that one. Go ahead. Ever dancing with some of the kids? I just finished my cup of coffee about right now. You see Teresa and I in the background. Kyle was playing some tunes on his phone. This is one of the local children. He had some moves on him down here. That's Kyle, one of the local girls. Notice the coffee has begun to and we're playing a little earth, wind, and fire. How long is it? Saturday night fever for you. Not to see it anytime soon. Or me in shorts, so that's you can see that's a cloud down in the valley that was going to the valley. I think this is on our way out. There's a picture from a lookout point of all of Port-au-Prince between the two mountain ranges. This is an organization started by some Americans called Peace Cycle, and what they're doing is empowering the people there. And this lady from America created this kind of factory type deal. Pause just a second. She went down there several years ago to adopt a baby, and they got it all. Well, when she went down there to close the deal, the couple decided not to adopt her baby. But the lady was so convicted that she had enough money that she could buy someone else's baby, and she went back to America and come up with this plan. And they went back over there because the orphans that are there, the saying they say, Haiti doesn't have an orphan problem, they have a poverty problem. they cannot afford to raise the children that they bring into the world. So they give them to a hospital, an orphanage, or a abandoned. So they come up with this way to hire local people, but particularly women that have children, so they can raise their children. So there's this organization, the Papillon Project, and this company called P-Cycle. They take all this plastic water bags and they recycle goods and sew them into stuff. And this man is sewing on a foot pedal Singer sewing machine. All right, you can go ahead through the pictures. And they make backpacks, and it's all made by hand. Purses out of this plastic. They make necklaces, and they have pottery wheels and stuff, and they make all manner of pottery and fire. And this stuff, they sell it all over the world. They employ about 150 to 200 people. That's the answer to Haiti, is to empower people to take care of themselves, because what has happened to Haiti is America and a lot of churches and organizations have, stop right there, have just went down there and given them goods. And so what we've done, and I think America in the best of efforts, but they've created a give me mentality among the people that's been perpetuated for generations. They don't know how to make stuff. They don't know how to take care of themselves. All they know to do is wait for the ships to come in or the nonprofits to come in and give them something. And what some organizations are doing now is trying to go in and educate the people and they've got everything there they need. I mean, just right across on the other side of the island, Dominican Republic's a prosperous nation, tourism, the most beautiful place on earth. They don't know what to do with it.
This is Sharima,
Yes.
This little girl is our youth sponsor.
This is the girl from the orphanage of I'm Me that we've been sponsored for a year or so right now, and she's a sweetheart. Big mama. They were coloring with some of the orphans. That's the banner. He's got a mask on. He's in his little walker. And that's Katie that went with us when we were out home. Sadie from Katie. That's Rachel. That's Sadie's sister. She used to live in Electra. They live in Kansas now. And she's been to church out here. Her and Sadie have been to church here a few times. This is on top of the roof of the guest house. And we some praise and worship. This is what we did every evening about sundown. This is the bus we were riding in. Go back to that picture. We rode around in this bus everywhere we went in another vehicle. And the girl wearing the C cap and the girl in the Notre Dame cap were former NFL cheerleaders. This is Brianna Honor right there. She was a cheerleader for the Indianapolis Colts for 6 years and cheered at the Super Bowl when the Colts played the Saints. The other girl, Jackie, she was a cheerleader for the Seattle Seahawks. And there's a group of NFL cheerleaders that love the Lord and have gone down to this place, and they're kind of networked together. It's just really kind of interesting. This is the market, just a regular street, driving through Haiti. You see these little pickups all colored with, that's your public transportation system through Haiti. They're called capnets, and they've got a little camper haul structure on the back, and they had two, like a 2x8 running down each side, and they call them tap dance because when you want to get out, you tap on the side, and they stop and you pay them and they let you out. We rode one of them to the village, about an hour and a half on that 2x8 each way. I'm not recovered yet. It's a very steep hillside to drive. That's me and one of the cheerleaders right there. I still had a cowboy shirt on because that's Brianna Bonner, the Indianapolis cheerleader, Alexa. This is all that's on the mountain, on the roof. That's Alexa and Banner. Right here is I'm washing the feet of the pastor of that village out there, and I was very honored to do that. I washed his feet, his hands, and prayed for him, and I consider that a great honor to get to do that.
That's all the ones I got.
Is that all we have?
Not all. That's all the ones I have on here. She still got to transfer more off her phone.
Did we have some more, Alexa? Well, that's all that we have.
Yeah.
Here. Okay. Well, that's all I'm running. I want let's turn the lights on before we're dismissed. I want each team member to come up and just maybe say a little bit about what the trip meant to them. Y'all come on up. All of you come up and stand back here, and then I'm going to pray for the team before we're dismissed. I'll ask my wife to go first.
It was an amazing, wonderful trip. Everybody ought to experience something like this once in a lifetime. It's life-changing. I don't know what to offer Haiti would change Haiti at all, but what Haiti had to offer me changed me forever. It makes Electra and the surrounding areas and places that it makes them look like a beautiful place. It's changed your perspective, changed my vision. What I saw in kids of the village, they are so happy. All the people everywhere. They don't know it any different, I guess, so they don't want to be Americanized. They don't want you to come put you off on them. They're happy. They're wanting a way to make a living for themselves where that they can raise their families, but they have a joy. Every one of those kids running around kicking a tin can dirty from head to toe, smiling, laughing. They had a joy that America needs to get back, because it was a joy that came from the Lord, not from things and stuff. It was an actual God-given joy that when you just see them running at you. Kelly and I, one time I looked at Kelly and I said, Kelly, look. And she's like, oh my goodness. You know, here they come just to love you, to hug you, to kiss you. They just have so much joy. And that's what I took away from that. I need to turn my joy on here in America and get my joy where the root of it springing from what truly is joy, and it's not things.
Haiti was definitely a life-changing experience. You go over there, they have nothing. Happiest people you'll ever meet. Here we are, we have everything. Probably the grumpiest people. Most of us. We complain about everything. They have no clothes, and they see you coming, and they run to you. They play, they dance. It was an honor to go on a mission trip with my parents. Great experience. I want to thank Haley for taking us. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't get to experience this. And thank you.
I can't really put into words my experience this past week. It was definitely unexpected, all the things the Lord did in my life in Haiti, and going to a third world country and seeing the things we saw and the experiences and like being right there in it. It's really indescribable, and the words can't do it justice. But I think that what the Lord did in my life was really unexpected, and He definitely, sorry, I'm kind of nervous. He definitely opened my eyes to a lot of new things, and gave me a new perspective in a lot of different ways, and that was really unexpected. And I think that also the relationships that blossomed there, and some of those people were complete strangers, and we were only there for 7 days. But I think that I can genuinely say that I had some of the most intentional and meaningful conversations there that really blessed my life. And that was definitely unexpected for me. And I can't wait to get back. So, yeah.
I love Haiti, and most of you know that already about me. I love the people there, and there is a lot of darkness there and a lot of poverty, but my favorite thing about Haiti is the people. They're beautiful people, and they love big, and they're just really, really special people. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to go back, and very honored to have gotten to go with this group. And I just want to thank the church for supporting us, and for my family for holding down the fort while I was gone. I know it's not easy, and I appreciate all you do to make that opportunity for me able to happen. And just this trip for me was a little bit harder than last time. We experienced some things that were pretty overwhelming for me, and I just wanted to say thank you to Lloyd. Having him on the trip and being that spiritual head for us kind of held us all together. And I just want to say thank you.
One thing that wasn't on the photos that I want to share with you guys that was special to me was hospital we went to, we weren't allowed to bring cameras in there and phones, and it was a hospital, children's hospital, started by Mother Teresa. And you knock on the door of the gate, the nun opens, and you're basically rushed into rooms. It was feeding time, and you walk in a room, and crib after crib after crib of children and babies. We don't know their names. We don't know what they have, and you don't really care. They gave us gloves. They gave us masks to wear, and I just could bring myself to put those on, and I just wanted to touch them and hold them. And when you put them down, they're crying, and you just don't want to leave. And I would have to say that's the vision and imprint in my mind is that room of cribs. And I'm so thankful for my children and what we're blessed with here. And it was just frantic, and we fed them, and they were lined up with their mouths open and just wanting a bite to eat. And there was joy there, though, because most of those children probably wouldn't have been alive if they wouldn't have been there in that hospital. And that was heavy on my heart, the whole trip. And I just want you guys to know another short thing, because I know I could go on forever, but you would be so proud to have Lloyd, Papa Lloyd, as your pastor. You guys are so blessed, and we felt so secure, and he was such a spiritual leader on this trip, and you guys would have been beyond proud of who leads our church and led all those people in the guest house and prayed with people, laid hands on people, washed people's feet, was so humble and such a presence there that you definitely need to be thankful and proud of Papa Lloyd.
Before y'all step down, I want to pray for everybody. I was the old man in the group, and so they nicknamed me Papa Lloyd, and Teresa was Mama T. So we were the oldest ones there, and so I took that title with honor that they intended it to. I want to pray for this team. We prayed for them 2 weeks ago to start the trip, and you know, there is voodoo on the island that doesn't like missionaries and stuff, and I know the powers that be in the heavenlies didn't like us being there, and you never know what kind of curse or prayer that was prayed against